So something happened today. It's pretty vital for us to be talking about. You may or may not have heard, Don Lemon was arrested. Now, if you don't know who he is, he was a longtime host on CNN. He was fired a couple of years ago. He was fired from CNN in April of 2023. That was after 17 years. Now, following a series of controversies, which included some on-air sexist remarks about then presidential candidate Nikki Haley and her age, notably reports of alleged past misogynistic behavior also from his fellow colleagues. Now, his termination was followed by public backlash and some internal complaints, but along the way, and since his firing, he has been very vocal about his disdain for Trump. And Trump has also posted his disdain for Don Lemon on social media. So their feud is not news. But what is news is that Trump has weaponized the Justice Department once again in a retributive way. I want you to watch this.
There's strong reaction today to Don Lemon's arrest.
The Trump administration taking new aggressive steps against journalists.
His former colleagues at CNN expressing outrage.
Now, real quick, in case you didn't know, there was also a Washington Post reporter whose home was invaded by FBI agents looking for documentation on some investigative journalism that she was doing. So that's a precursor to before this even happened.
This very much has Trump retribution vibes.
The White House responding with mockery, announcing Lemon's arrest on social media with the caption, "When life gives you lemons."
Now, that's another thing worth noting, too, is that the sarcasm and inappropriate comments coming from the White House's official social media pages, and I'm not talking about Trump on Truth Social, I'm talking about the actual White House social media page, makes comments like this all the time.
He was taken into custody early Friday morning in Los Angeles after attending a pre-Grammy party.
And what they mean by early, the middle of the night.
According to one report, he was seen being handcuffed while flanked by FBI and Homeland Security agents.
Question, why are Homeland Security agents involved in the arrest of this? Unless, and I'm going to say it, ICE and Homeland Security are being used going forward as Trump's private military.
Lemon is here in Los Angeles to cover the Grammys for his YouTube channel. He's scheduled to be here at Crypto.com Arena on the red carpet interviewing celebrities before Sunday's show.
Well, and that's going to happen. He was actually released, he was released on without bail, actually. We'll get to that in a minute.
All that is up in the air now that he's in federal custody.
I'm just going to walk in, see what's happening.
Yeah, so since this story has been written, since this story aired online, he's already been released from custody.
It's this report 2 weeks ago that landed him in hot water with the Trump administration. He followed anti-ICE agitators into a Minneapolis church whose pastor is believed to work with ICE.
Now, it's important to note, too, this whole thing was captured on video. It's not like somebody is like cutting segments of it to make it look like he didn't do anything. The Justice Department's effectively saying that he was the mastermind behind this, but he was just following them. He had been following them all day. He just followed them into this church.
I'm part of the group. I'm just here photographing. I'm a journalist.
But the White House claims he was one of the organizers. And today, Attorney General Pam Bondi says a grand jury indicted Lemon on charges that he interfered with the congregants' civil rights.
Okay, before we get to her comments, this is important to note, is that the Attorney General and the district attorneys in both California and Minnesota both refused to bring charges on this. They refused to go to the grand jury. So Pam Bondi went to a federal grand jury for something that was essentially him. I mean, in the worst case scenario, he was trespassing in a church. Worst case scenario, he was trying to stop a public meeting, if you want to call church a public meeting or whatever, mass. But they're getting him on basically like a hate crime, like he's infringing upon people's religious rights.
Haven't been clear already. If you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
Don Lemon is planning to fight the charges. His lawyer saying the journal.
And he does. So he's already been released. The judge that actually did end up getting in this case has released him even without bail. My guess is, much like a lot of the other things that are going on, this is going to work itself out pretty quick. And this isn't the first time. This is not the only one. The list of people that have been arrested or are being investigated as a form of retribution continues to grow. I'm going to show you something else here. Check this out. So this is a list of retaliatory actions that Trump has taken. These are being tracked by an organization called Protect Democracy. So we got Minnesota Democrats here. Tim Walz, the governor, Jacob Frey, who's the mayor of Minneapolis. They are currently under investigation. Jerome Powell, he's the chair of the Federal Reserve, who once again, by the way, the other day refused to lower interest rates. And because of that, because Trump thinks that he's hurting the economy and also is mad because he won't do what Trump says, so he's investigating him. Mark Kelly, we know all about this. If you don't, I'm not going to get into all this right now. But essentially, he put a video out on social media saying to members of the military, if you are given an order that is illegal, it is your responsibility to not follow illegal orders. And then because of that, they are investigating him and he's going to be court-martialed. At least that's the plan right now, to be court-martialed. And the list goes on and on. John Bolton's his former national security advisor. He doesn't like him. Lisa Cook also works on the reserve. Adam Schiff was involved in the January 6th probe that Congress did. So he hates him for that. James Comey also involved in the same way. It just goes. I mean, Letitia James from New York, because she's the one that ended up winning the case that got him 34 felonies. So of course he's pissed at her. Goes on and on and on. So, I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. I really don't believe that this continues to go on. But here's the thing. There's no outrage. I mean, sure, there's some people in the media talking about this, but why are there so many silent voices on the right? Now, I can give you my thoughts. It's because Trump voters, they like this. He's going after people they don't like. Now, they've also been silently or even not so silently hating all the same people for years. But here's the other question. Why now? I have an idea about that too. Now, today, if you didn't hear, the Justice Department released 3 million more pieces of Jeffrey Epstein evidence. In there's two very important tidbits. One of them is an email from Melania to Ghislaine Maxwell. And if you don't remember, Ghislaine Maxwell is the woman that helped Jeffrey Epstein basically collect the girls, train the girls to essentially be sex slaves. This is an email that Melania sent to Ghislaine. This is in the Epstein files. Dear Ghislaine, how are you? Nice story about J.E. in New York Mag, J.E. being Jeffrey Epstein. You look great in the picture. I know you're very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. That is in 2002. Now, all that shows is just the relationship that they had with each other, that, even before, Trump and her were together, she had this relationship. She knew what was going on. These people were all incredibly close. And the idea that Trump was unaware of any of this continues to be nonsense. Now, the other thing in the Epstein files, this is the real meat right here. Take a look at this. And this print I know is very small on your screen. There's a lot of things in here talking about different stuff that was really inappropriate involving Donald Trump. But the big one is right down here. What it says, Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and include Elon Musk, Don Jr., Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump were there. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. They were taken into ruse, forced to give oral sex to Donald J. Trump, forced to allow them to penetrate us. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump raped me. Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. Now, this is disgusting. At 50 years old, I have seen some real shit in my life. I can't really even put into words how reading this today made me feel. I do want to be clear, as I'm sure you are hearing in the news, this complaint is just that. It's someone's account of what happened. We don't know yet if it was investigated further. We don't know if it was covered up. We don't know a lot of things. But we do know that a young girl sat down, or a young woman maybe by the time she wrote this, sat down with investigators and told this story. The law enforcement folks who took this statement would have believed it enough to officially enter it into evidence. And that should absolutely mean something, regardless of what you believe. The fact that we have a president of the United States willing to weaponize the Justice Department to go after his perceived enemies, but also a man who regularly, frequently spent time with a convicted sex trafficker and her boyfriend on an island and in his resort in Florida, where he acts out the role of the presidency quite often, doing horrible things to little girls. And somehow in 2026, United States of America, it's become normal. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks again for watching the Christopher Hess Show. I'm really glad you took the time to watch. Now, if you liked what you saw, you can click right here. This will help you subscribe to my channel. Or you can click over here for a video that YouTube thinks is one you would like to watch. Once again, thanks for watching and have a great day.